Welcome to Behind the Billboard, where we highlight the teams that have brought brands like the NBA, Rémy Martin, and Health Canada to Twitter billboard campaigns. We'll discuss how they pitched it all the way to execution, and most importantly, how it went. In this segment, we're highlighting these rock stars: Brad, Michaela, and Greg. We also have a very special guest, Brittany Holland, media planner at NBA. Stay tuned to hear how it all went down.
So this was a huge campaign for Rémy Martin. There was a huge opportunity to be splashy and larger than life. And what's larger than life than a major billboard? And it was a great opportunity to pick key markets where we knew cognac drinkers were and knew that they were out and about, and get all of this visibility on a big billboard in a really important few regions.
If you haven't heard, NBA Twitter is a whole thing of its own. It's its own community. It has its own voice. So we try to identify big moments, key dates on where we can just absolutely blow it out of the water and really help drive tune-in for their games, and then build some brand love.
The Twitter billboards were especially cool because it was pretty much engaging with the fan in real time, or as real time as we were. We were really excited, to have that opportunity to showcase not only our big, brand launch and, celebrate the playoffs and finals, but also highlighting the fan excitement in a new way.
The billboard was the perfect activation because it allowed us to expand on all of the tried and true elements of the Twitter audience by providing the mass reach and mass awareness.
I was immediately drawn to it. Thought it was a perfect fit for the NBA, who already does, out of home at times. So I thought it would be a great play, a great extension to already what we've been pitching, and it's just something new.
I think when discussing with our clients, we were able to reinforce that value of the Twitter audience, the influential audience, and using the billboard as a vehicle to provide mass awareness and provide really a tool to amplify these conversations that are happening on Twitter.
Internally here, it was one of the most talked about and shared activation because it was so big and flashy and engaging. And those of us in New York going to Times Square and experiencing that, I think is always going to be really cool to see your work in the middle of Times Square.
The client was so excited that we brought this to them, A, because it did have that larger than life feel that they were looking for, and B, it was a way to integrate their URL campaign to an IRL setting, bringing what lives on digital to the real world without losing that inclusivity and interactive nature, where they had an ability to stream their video assets and to have live tweeting be streamed up to these billboards in these key places.
It just really brings it all together, like where it's a one-stop shop feel. Another thing is just how involved your team has been, really from start to finish. That has really helped make my job easier. But at the same time, we're all coming together to, achieve one goal.
And when we brought this idea to their attention to gauge their appetite, it was super important that we positioned it as a social extension of what they're doing on Twitter to real life. In this case, they liked that it could be an extension of our campaign rather than a replacement.
Really, really gave us the ability to reach new audiences and showcase Twitter as a product and some of these super, super important conversations that are happening every day.
I love that this process has been able to be managed, really seamlessly for your team. I think the client also likes that. It just looks like an added level of support. It adds a little bit of status to it, I feel, to bring in a third-party partner. They're leading the charge. They're the experts on this, not just a Twitter rep trying to sell another product and kind of barely knows what he's talking about. So I love that you guys are the experts in this category and are on every call and there to answer questions. So I'm very impressed with this process. Very easy for CPs for sure.
Our Health Canada client really loved the idea of this product for their specific initiative. There were some key elements of the billboard that they were really drawn to, but they, being a government client, have very strict restrictions that they have to abide by when advertising. So we found that the team was super flexible in finding solutions to some of these restrictions.
I, have scratched the surface of out of home, but I'm not the out of home expert. So bringing Dive in and allowing Dive to really foster those conversations and spearhead, and having the trust and just a really, really clear communication between the two of us, I never really hesitated on the back and forth because I trust that as Twitter partners, you all are going to do the best thing for the client and putting the client first.
You guys haven't given us a reason not to trust you. And I will say that Twitter does a good job of vetting, third-party partners and partners they bring in. So whoever we do bring in, I'm automatically going to start with a great level of trust. It became even deeper just watching you guys work and how you set everything up and just been on top of follow-ups and things of that nature.
Seeing the growth of the #MyWhy conversation on platform, and then seeing many of those tweets amplified at the large out-of-home spectacular boards in Yonge and Dundas Square, transit shelters, residential buildings, really made it feel like that conversation was absolutely massive and really showcased the breadth of the conversation.
Well, I would say from like an organic and paid perspective, it was very collaborative internally here. So we had let our NBA Twitter account team and all of our teams in those relevant markets understand that this was happening, and it was a big push. Encouraging sort of everybody to use the That Game hashtag was, I think, probably the clearest connection there. Is we had the custom hash flag on the hashtag, so it was a great synergy there, and awesome to see it in real life, like what it looked like at such a large scale.
Being able to capture, fans' reactions on Twitter to, in the arena to leaving the arena, I think it's just awesome, and fans will really dig it.
And this was a unique situation because Rémy Martin was the first spirits brand to run a billboard through Twitter and Dive. So I do feel like there were a lot of trails blazed in a sense. The tips I would say is engage your Dive partners as soon as humanly possible. Start being proactive in getting ahead of some of the questions that might be asked or some of the talking points that you can have armed in your back pocket. The Twitter rep is never going to be the specialist that the Dive counterpart will, but being a good almost ally both to your internal partners and external partners, I think will get you very far.
The overall experience with working with both the Twitter and Dive teams on bringing this to life was extremely collaborative and, such an awesome experience. Being able to have that flexibility, working so closely with your team on, making updates as we needed to as schedules were solidified and things like that was really helpful.
In the process of pitching the billboard again for another program with the same client, I was actually in their RFP asked to pitch it. So that it shows that they were super happy with the results of this campaign, because it's not necessarily me bringing it to them. It's them saying, this is something we want to present again.
I've really enjoyed working with you guys and definitely want to continue, the relationship moving forward and see how we can help each other.